Good morning, everyone. So,
Good morning, Vietnam!
going to talk this morning about furniture manufacturing is moving overseas. Okay, I got some good information for you here. So,
Hmm. God damn, Jimmy. This some serious gourmet shit.
a lot of conversations over the last probably 2 or 3 weeks about production of my furniture here in America, and I've had a lot of conversations about working with design firms and working with other companies about manufacturing my furniture and about selling my furniture. One of the things I'm trying to do for 2025 is I'm trying to increase my presence around America. And I'm going to start doing that by putting my goods in physical places. So I've been predominantly an internet based company for a long time, and I've sold my goods via my website, The Resplendent Crow. And it's been a fantastic way to make money, but it's very difficult. It's very hard to find help. And this is one of the issues that I think a lot of people can relate to. When you're the master crafts person, it's very difficult to find another master crafts person. So anyway, especially here in St. Louis versus some of the meccas of furniture making, like North Carolina, Michigan, Tennessee, places like that. So what I'm going to talk about today is I'm going to talk about what I've learned recently about furniture manufacturing here in America and what a lot of companies are actually doing, right? So if we dig into what companies are selling versus where they are making the goods that they are selling, they're two completely different things. A company will do anything they can to not tell you that their furniture is made overseas, right? Every furniture company right now wants to give the illusion that their product is, handcrafted and it's an artisan product, and they put so much time and thought into the heritage of where the design came from, and they will just go to the ends of the earth to talk about how great their product is. But if you do a Google search on where it's manufactured, you'll be like, well, shit. So anyway, it's very interesting. I got a whole bunch of stuff I'm going to show you. I'm going to share my page, and I'm going to go through a bunch of different companies. These are all companies that I've used, by the way. I have bought their products. I've sold their products. I have talked to them about manufacturing. I've talked to them about all kinds of stuff. So this is firsthand information. This isn't something that I just Google search. I'm not some geek that just puts articles all over the internet and researches industries. Like, I actually do this stuff. I make this. I buy this stuff. So I think this is good information for everyone. Okay. First thing I'm going to start with is most furniture companies have moved production overseas, okay? Companies talk about everything and anything except where their goods are made. And my next note is high-end design firms are ordering containers of foreign case goods. Okay, so this is something that's very upsetting to me. That's a reality that I'm going to have to learn to live in, and I'm going to do the best that I can to operate this space. Okay, so let's come over here to, we're going to go to the FTC here, okay? The FTC, Federal Trade Commission. And what these guys do is they basically regulate businesses, right? So these are the people that say, hey, you can't say your stuff's made in America when it's not made in America, right? Or what you'll see with a lot of companies, Apple's notorious for doing this, is they'll say designed in America, right? That's what companies like to do now when they can't make stuff in America at a profit, right? And a lot of companies will say, well, we don't have the skilled labor here. It's like, well, we're just having this debate right now about how companies are getting their skilled labor. All these companies are just importing people, right? Which is fine. You do whatever you want to do. But you're telling me that these other companies couldn't import people to do this work? The truth is they can. It's the labor is too damn expensive, right? So if you can't get the labor into America, you import the labor into America by whatever means you can, right? And so a lot of other people didn't even do it. They were just like, well, we'll just send all the manufacturing overseas, right? We'll just get all the cheap labor over there. We'll send all of our operations over there. And anyway, it's a complete cluster right now. But anyway, so some home truth about Williams-Sonoma's deceptive made in America claims. Okay, so Williams-Sonoma had to pay a fine because they were basically trying to say that their stuff was made in the States when it's not. And what these companies do is they're very slimy. And what they'll do is they'll say, well, we're finishing the product here in America. It's like, okay, well, where is it made? Well, it's stained here in America, or it's painted here in America, or the hardware is added here in America. And they'll try and say that it's made in America. And truth is that it's not. 80% of the work is done overseas. It's containerized and sent to America, and they're adding value here in America and then trying to tell you it's made in America, and it's not, right? So this is one of the things. I'm not a government guy, but I'll give the FTC credit. Like, you can't say your thing's made in America, right, and try and have that that prestige and add that to your sales model that you make your stuff in America, when in fact it's not. Okay, so Williams-Sonoma had to pay a fine for this because these people, again, they'll do anything to say that their stuff is made in America because it's more valuable, right? You can sell it for more money, and Williams-Sonoma wants to paint itself as kind of a high-end brand. And when you're a high-end brand, people want their stuff made in America. I can tell you this about private jets. When people buy a private jet, if you put anything stamped on China, or excuse me, made in China on a private jet, you're going to have a problem on your hands because those people don't want their stuff made overseas. They want to know it's made right here in America. You know, all your avionics and stuff like that. You're talking about Garmin, which is in Kansas. You're talking about Rockwell Collins, which, if I'm mistaken, is in Illinois. There's all these companies that are super high-end, very expensive brands within the aerospace industry, right? You can't have that made in China. It's not going to work that way. And plus, you got different laws, you know, ITAR and all that kind of stuff. There's all kinds of issues there. But when it comes to furniture, it's very important that when you want to put that made in America stamp on your furniture, it's actually made in America. Okay, so that's number one. That's from 2024. We can go back here also. Williams-Sonoma got another fine, 2020 for, again, made in America, right? People want this thing. Anyway, so this is a problem, okay? So come over here. So I was doing a search. This is Wildwood Furniture, okay? And again, I've bought Wildwood Furniture stuff. I've sold their what we call smalls. I've sold some of their like coffee tables that had some cool designs. I've bought some of their, I want to say, vases and tchotchkes and lamps and things like that. And truth is, their stuff's made overseas. Okay, not all of it. What they'll do is if you go on their website, let's see here. We'll go over here. What they like to say is that they're a worldly company, right? Their stuff's made all over the world. That's what they want to tell you, right? We're so grand and we just use design elements from all over the world, and they want to do all this stuff. When truth is, all the stuff's made overseas. A lot of the stuff's made in, I want to say it's Vietnam. I don't have the actual country. You know, yeah, here we go. Reflection of artisan talents from Europe, the Far East and beyond. You know, I love it so much. Their showrooms are at High Point, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia. Like, look where we got our showrooms. We're in the meccas of furniture, and it's all horseshit. And there are places where I've been there many times. And again, I like this company. I like their products. Don't get me wrong. But as an American manufacturer who really does make a high-end product, the salesmanship is amazing. The marketing is amazing. But truth is, it's made in Vietnam. Some of the stuff's made in China. And it's again, nice furniture, great pictures, all that kind of stuff. But again, not made here. So anyway, the problem with manufacturing stuff in America is that the labor is just too damn expensive. Like, nobody can afford to pay people $40 an hour plus benefits, plus the cost of a manufacturing space, right? So if you want to make stuff at scale, you have to have a lot of space. You know, we got these people on YouTube making furniture, talking about they're craftspeople and they're furniture makers, and they're showing you how to start a woodworking business, and they're basically working in a garage. They're working in these tiny spaces, you know, trying to give people hope that you could do this here in America. And there's a version of that you absolutely can do. There's no doubt about it. If you want to be just a custom furniture maker, you could absolutely do that. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a decent way to make a living, but you ain't never getting rich, man. No way in hell. You know, so truth is, these products can't be made in America because, again, there's labor, there's the cost of a facility, right? I have a 20,000 square foot facility. Rent was $6,000, right? So that's cheap. That is about the cheapest rent you're ever going to find. When I look around places, if you wanted to get 10,000 square feet in a reasonable area, I mean, you're looking at probably $10,000 a month. Like, it's very expensive. And you're talking about commercial insurance. You know, insurance is going to run you, could run you as much as $20,000 a year to insure a building, right? Depending on what it is that you do, right? If you're a woodworking company, shit, insurance companies don't want to touch you, right? So it's expensive. If you're a paint company in America, try getting insurance on a paint company where you got to have booths and halon systems and all the stuff that goes in with that. Like, you don't have to worry about that overseas. Like, I talk about this a lot. Like, you want to manufacture stuff overseas, all the rules and regulations that we have here in America don't apply over there, which is why it's so damn expensive to make stuff in America. So anyway, I want to get too sidetracked. So this good right here, it's not made in America, unfortunately. This is a bar cabinet, really cool looking cabinet. I really like this cabinet, and again, I think it's really cool, but it's not made here, And so I'm going to come over here because this company is basically saying that you can get these in all these different colors. You can pick Benjamin Moore colors. There's several things that you can do. They're trying to give you a little bit of customization, right? That's the thing that these manufacturers that make stuff overseas, they're always going to struggle with, which is part of what this video is about. They're really going to struggle with customization, okay? And this is when I talk to people in the design space, or when I talk to people that sell goods in like studios and places like that, this is what they struggle with. And this is where the American manufacturer or the American person has an opportunity to have a business, right? It's very small, but there is the opportunity there, okay? So these people are talking about custom painted, blah, 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 okay? So we're gonna go over here to this article from Vanguard Furniture, which makes nice stuff as well. So what these guys are saying is has even been less of an impact because we import parts and in rare cases, unfinished goods. Container loads are more compact and therefore more efficient. Okay, this article was written in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 2022. Okay, so we're going through COVID right now, which was such a cluster f of a time. Anyway, what this guy's saying is a lot of these companies they're importing stuff, right? They're importing add-on features to their furniture. They're importing chair parts, they're importing table bases, they're importing, and I've talked about numerous companies on the internet that push making tables, right? Make tables. You can, we got these guys on the internet saying you can get rich making table stuff, right? And what they're doing is they're importing all the chairs, they're importing all the bases, and they're making the tabletops here in America, right? So that's a particular way to make money, but there's nobody making chairs unless you're like the Amish. It's just there's no good way to make money on chairs and then sell them to somebody else, right? Because there has to be. I mean, you basically got two middlemen at that point, which you're not going to make any money. You can't get the price down enough for the customer that you have in that case. So what they're saying is, in rare cases, unfinished goods. Okay, if I go back over here to Wildwood, this is what these people are doing. Okay, so they're importing, probably 250 of these at a time, right? They're keeping them in a warehouse. And if you want to order these in a specific color, they're then offsite painting this stuff, right? Like I've talked to the people that own this company. I know how this works. They're offsite painting this stuff, okay? And then they're having it shipped off to the customer, okay? So they're paying a third party to do this, like my company, the Resplendent Crow, would paint this furniture, okay? And that's something that's going on right now. Same thing with stuff like this, right? Obviously, the base wouldn't be painted, but we would get the case good in. We could then paint it and then send it back to Wildwood, and then they could send it off to their customers. So there's things that can be done here by these companies, and that's one of the things that they're trying to do is they're trying to import these things unfinished, add value to them here in America, and then send them off to their customer and sell it at a premium, right? So this is another way that manufacturers can make money by importing stuff, okay? And then, all right, so showing you a few things of what's going on here. And this is, unfortunately, most furniture companies today. Williams-Sonoma case goods are made overseas. Pottery Barn case goods are made overseas. Crate & Barrel, which is owned, I think, by Sonoma, case goods made overseas. And the truth is it's too damn expensive to make that stuff here and at the quality that people want and sell it for the price that a large corporation needs to sell it at in order to make money. Because you think about it, this large corporation, if you're just a furniture company, right? Like my company, the Resplendent Crow. When I sell a piece of furniture, I'm making the furniture, or I've got one of my cabinet makers making the furniture. It then gets sanded by somebody, it gets painted by somebody, and it gets reassembled by somebody and then delivered, okay? So there's, call it 6 steps in that process. I've got probably 4 people that actually touch that piece of furniture, and then it goes on to the customer. And then I got my wife who does all the marketing and the sales and stuff like that. So we'll just call it 6 or 7 people total, okay? A large corporation like Crate & Barrel, or no, we'll say Williams-Sonoma, they can afford to have, 20 people touch that piece of furniture because the labor is so cheap, and they can pay to have it containerized and sent over the ocean here to America because the cost is so low and the volume of their sales is so high. They can pay, an army of marketing people, an army of accountants, an army of advertising people, sales people, customer service agents. Then you got, your executives, right? You got your C-suite executives, your vice presidents, and all these different departments have their own set directors and managers and all this kind of stuff. So all these people it takes to sell that good, right? Which is wild. Like, it blows my mind that there's so much of this stuff going on. And unfortunately, that's kind of how modern furniture manufacturing is right now. And that's why these people have to sell everything overseas, is because there's so many people in the process to sell that good, because there's no one person that can do 10 different things, because it's not cost effective here in America, right? So you send it overseas where you can't afford to have 10 people do stuff for $1 an hour, right? So it's freaking crazy. So, all right, I'm going to move on. I can go on tangents about this whole thing. I basically think that we need more companies in America, right? If you had, instead of having, 24 furniture companies that make everything, or have 80% of the market, it needs to be flipped around, where you have 20% of the market is these 24 companies, and then 80% of the market is small businesses. Instead, it's actually the other way around. You got 80% of the market is 24 companies, and then you got, I'll say 1 million people in the 20% trying to make furniture, right, to compete with these 24 people. It's kind of a backwards system. So anyway, moving on. Okay, we're moving over here to this article about where manufacturing is moving, right? And it's more than 90% of North American companies have relocated production and sourcing over the past 5 years. And on the surface, that sounds pretty good. Like, all right, man, they're going to what they call reshore, right? And I keep doing this a bunch. Reshore. Okay, they're not reshoring shit. This is just how it's going to be. And it pains me to say that so much. But if this new administration comes in and they start wreaking havoc with these tariffs, you might see a little bit of a change. But I've done videos on this, okay? The thing about tariffs that people don't understand, people can't wrap their head around the fact that tariffs don't impact importers as much as you think they do, okay? And I use an example of a piece of hardware. So I can sell a piece of brass hardware. Say it cost me $7 to make it in India, okay? I can sell it here in America for $150, okay? So if you tariff my product 100%, you take my piece of hardware that I can sell for $7 and you make it $14. I still can sell it for $150. And the truth is that when you tariff it, the market will just move.
Are you sure?
And I will then be able to charge more for that product. And the people that were buying it yesterday are still going to buy it today, right? And then they're going to buy it tomorrow. They don't care what the price is. And this is the problem in America with almost all manufactured goods overseas. We're using the threat of tariffs. The market is so high for what people can charge in America. When you make something overseas, tariffs don't matter. Okay, but we're going to go to this anyway. So this isn't a reshoring article. Okay, what this is saying, and we'll highlight right here. Okay, this paragraph. Okay, thanks to their deep labor pools and growing scale and capability across diverse industries, Mexico, India, Southeast Asia, Turkey, and Morocco are rapidly emerging as future export powerhouses. Okay, and this is what's happening. This is what is going on. It's not that people are leaving these foreign countries and coming back to America. They're taking their stuff from China and they're moving it over to Mexico. They're taking their stuff from China, they're moving it to Vietnam. They're taking their stuff from China and they're moving it to India and to Turkey and to Morocco and all these places because the labor is cheap. Okay, now some people will say, oh, well, it's never going to be good as America. It's never going to be as good as America. Like, bullshit. People overseas learn just like we would learn, like anybody will learn. They learn how to do stuff and they learn how to do it really well because they're moving at such a rapid pace when we send our manufacturing overseas. They're learning how to manufacture things and they will do it just as good as we can or better. And the truth is they can do it cheaper, so they could do it 10 times as hard, 20 times as hard, and they can learn at a geometric rate. And people don't understand this concept, right? These countries are interested, right? They're improving their quality of life. They're improving what it is that they do. They're improving their skills. They're improving their standard of living. Everything for them is getting better, right? Meanwhile, here in America, unless you're a tech company or unless you're making something that's scalable, right? And that's a whole other discussion. You're going to work your freaking ass off to compete, right? And that's the truth. That's what I do. That's what anyone that's in furniture does. We work our asses off to compete because we would rather bust our ass 70, 80 hours a week than go work for somebody else, right? We get to do the thing that we love, but we're competing with people overseas that are making $1 an hour, right? We're competing with executives and white collar people with MBAs for the market in furniture. because these people went to school, they learned how to go overseas, get these products made, come up with processes, manufacturing processes, equipment, and all these kind of things, right? They take our laws here in America and they pile on regulation, they pile on labor law, they pile on tort law, they pile on transportation law, EPA, OSHA, all these things, and then they go overseas where there's none of it. And then they put that money in their pockets, right? They take the competition that would be here in America, right? And when you layer on all that shit, and then they take their production overseas so that they don't have to compete against it. So it's a messed up system, but it's a system that we have. Okay, so these people aren't moving their furniture back to America. They're just changing the country that they do it overseas. All right, so there's no going back. Okay, and unfortunately, that's just the reality of where we're at today. Okay, so next topic. So one of my goals in 2025 is to expand my production lines, right? My offerings, right? The customers that I offer to. Right now, I pretty much service the highest tier of clients, right? These are your millionaire people, right? These are your clients that are in the $500,000 a year in income, right? So have lots of disposable income. They have taste. They hire designers. They hire people to do all kinds of stuff for them, okay? This is my customer. I want to lower the customer income that I'm looking for, right? So I want to look at the customer that's making $150,000 a year, right? I want to have a product for them. So one of the things that I'm doing is I'm looking at making furniture overseas.
But I dropped out, though.
Yeah, she dropped.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
So I've got two different things that I'm looking at doing. I'm looking at making my furniture overseas, and then I'm looking at making my furniture with CNC routers, right? Which is something that I would never do, right? My passion is making furniture here in America by hand. I think that it's good for the soul. I think that people really appreciate having a product that is handmade by an artisan, right? When people buy furniture from the Splendid Crow, they know that I've probably made it, right? And there's something to that. And then you got a lot of people that they don't care where their furniture comes from, right? It's not a thought to them, right? So I need to have products for all these people. Okay, so talking about making furniture overseas some more, all right? So I'm looking at expanding my product lines, right? I'm looking at making stuff overseas so that I can use my brand, right, which is the Resplendent Crow. I want to be able to take a very simple, what we just talked about, unfinished goods, right, coming into America. I paint them. I add my Resplendent Crow hardware to it. I have my Resplendent Crow lacquer, right? And that, coupled with a cheap product, will allow me to sell to a lower price point. It'll also allow me to just increase my margin on things and increase my production rate, okay? So I'm talking to a couple companies about doing this, right? So one of the places that we're talking about doing this is in India, right? Which I already make hardware over there, so I could potentially have furniture made over there. The other place is Mexico. So Mexico is again, very close to the border. It's easy to get stuff back and forth, and the production times are much better. It doesn't have to be containerized, right? You can literally ship it by truck, which is kind of interesting. So these are things I'm doing, which is kind of why I'm doing this video, talking about where people are getting their furniture made, okay? So truth is I want to just make my furniture here in America, and I can continue to do what I'm doing and probably do just fine. But at some point, I'm going to want to retire. I'm going to want to get out of the game. I'm going to want somebody else to do what it is that I do. And since most people aren't going to be able to make what I can make on a personal level, I got to find systems and other manufacturers to help do it so that I can move this company into the future, right? So we got the next generation. You know, we've got kids, and although none of them are interested in furniture, my hope is that one of these days, one of these little kids will want to do something in our space. So we'll see how that goes. So anyway, so I'm talking about that. It's just the reality of furniture today, and I hate it. I hate even talking about this, but this is literally how I deal with this stuff. Like, there's the reality of making furniture, and there's the reality of running a company, and they're at loggerheads at times. So what does a furniture manufacturer in America do today, right? So if you're one of these people and you just want to continue to do what it is that I do, which is make high-end custom furniture for the richest people, what do you do? How do you compete, right? Because there's only so many rich people, right? And they say that America could be going into a little bit of a recessionary period. 2025 is, I think it's going to be great, but there's a lot of people talking about it could just go to hell in a handbasket really quick. What do you do? Okay, so as American furniture manufacturers, we continue to make custom products, okay? Because truth is you're always going to have people that need a piece of furniture for a specific space, right? Like, the thing about containerized furniture and making stuff overseas is it's very difficult to make custom products because you have to buy multiples of things overseas. You're not going to get a one-off piece of furniture made in Egypt, in Vietnam. It's not going to happen, right? You're going to have to order 15, 20 units at a time, right? Because you're buying by the container. You're not buying by the piece, which can be hard for people to understand, right? There will always be people that need custom furniture. So if you want to make furniture in your garage, you want to make furniture in a slightly larger space, maybe you got 3,000, 4,000 square feet, you can absolutely do that. And there will always be that customer there, but you're going to be competing against more people, right? You're going to be competing against everyone that has a garage and a table saw and an idea or a dream, right? So that's something you could do for sure. That market will always be there, right? But you're kind of limited. The other thing is, you can make extremely high-end products that foreign companies can't make, okay? So one of the things that, if I go over here to this leg, it's really cool looking, right? It's kind of a brassy, goldish color leg, okay? And what this is an anodized finish, okay? And an anodized finish is a common finish that is used in many different, especially in the architectural industry. It's used all over the place. Google it. And it's very popular in companies like West Elm. And it's been popularized for, I don't know, maybe the last decade or so. And anyway, this finish, although nice looking, when I look at this thing, I say, oh, that's cheap, right? The artisan in me and what I do and where I sell to my customers is I would make this table, except that I would use real brass. Plain and simple, okay? You're not going to get this made in a foreign country, right? Because the countries that are good at brass don't make furniture. That's just what it boils down to, okay? So if you can marry those two skills, you got some, right? So I make a desk, right? I've shown my desk before. I've sold this desk to only the wealthiest of people, and it's about 20 grand a pop. It's high gloss lacquered, and it's lots of brass, right? And I make this desk because nobody else can make it. It takes too much work, takes too much effort, and people that are interested in working with wood aren't necessarily interested in working with metal, and vice versa. So that's what's going on here. So you can make a extremely high-end product that nobody else can offer, and if you can market yourself well enough and you can get enough customers to see your product and buy your product, you'll develop a brand, and that will keep you in business. Being that customer that can, or being that manufacturer that can do that is very valuable. But again, you got to market the shit out of what it is that you do, and it's going to take you a long time to do it. Okay, but there is a market for that, so that's something that you could definitely do. Make extremely high-end products. Okay, another thing that when I'm making hardware, right? Like anybody can make hardware. And I don't know how many times I've heard it that people tell me, oh, your stuff is so beautiful. I can't find something like what it is that you make, okay? And the truth is that's because I make furniture. I make shit, okay? And most people that make this kind of stuff, they don't make it. They design it. And this is another problem that we have right now in America. The people that are making furniture these days don't make furniture. They design furniture, right? The suit that is hiring the designer that is then also working with the manufacturing company to make the furniture. You have all these different people. They don't understand it. They don't understand the production, the design, because it's just not how corporations work today, right? So because we actually make furniture, we make hardware, we design our furniture, we design our hardware. We know about working with all these different metals, all these different woods, all these different paints. It gives us a very unique perspective on design and manufacturing. And this is one thing that again, large corporations are not going to be able to do. They don't have it. It just isn't there. That's why when you look online right now, you see all these kinds of people selling furniture. It all looks the same because it's all made overseas, right? And it has to be made in a specific way because you got the people that are doing the design work have never made anything in their lives. I mean, there's no furniture manufacturers, or there's no furniture makers that are just designing furniture for some large corporation to be made overseas. Like they're going to quit that job in a year. Like furniture makers don't have that. It's not a thing. I promise. So anyway, so that's something you can do. You can make very high-end products. Okay. The other thing is you can make your brand so valuable that you can manufacture anywhere, right? Which is one of my goals. This is the thing that I'm trying to do, and it's very, very difficult, and it takes a very long time. This is why most furniture companies are second, third, and fourth generation, because the first generation busted their ass, made no money, and grinded themselves into the fucking ground so that they could have a company, right? They pass it on to their kids, and most of the time the kids squander it, but if they do manage to keep it going, you get to the third generation. The second generation makes more money, reaps the benefits from the first generation. If they can make it to the third generation, they squander it, unless they can grow it, and then it makes even more money, and it builds, and you become a company like Mastercraft, right? Or you become a company like Kindle, been in operation for like 125 years. You become a company like, Henrodon, American of Martinsville, Hickory Chair. You can become one of these companies, but the first generation isn't able to do it because it just takes too damn long, unless you're a flash in the pan type situation, which does happen. Don't get me wrong. But if you can make your brand so valuable that it doesn't matter where you manufacture, right? Which the only place to manufacture is in America, which just happens to be the most expensive, right? America has access to all the best tools, all the best logistics, all the best talent, all the best of everything, but you have to be able to pay for it, right? So it's just like, take the example of I use the example of a Ferrari. Ferrari can charge $500,000 for a car. Ferrari can make their product anywhere. You think it's expensive to make stuff in what is it, Milano or Maranello, Italy? Try making stuff, in St. Louis, Missouri. Try making stuff in Miami, Florida. Try making stuff in Los Angeles, California. It's ridiculously expensive. But if you have a brand, you can make it anywhere. Take a Hermes bag, right? Everyone knows about Hermes. The Birkin bags, 30 grand for a bag, right? Hermes can manufacture anywhere. All their shit's made in France, but they can manufacture here in America. You could find some 70-year-old white lady to make Birkin bags, right? Pay her $100 an hour and still make a profit on that thing, So again, if your brand is valuable enough, you can charge whatever you want and you can make your products whatever you want. And then where you make those products becomes part of the brand, right? That's the ultimate goal. You want to be able to manufacture in America using the most expensive talent, the most expensive tools, take the most time possible. And that's the goal, right? So building a brand is the other thing that a manufacturer in America can do to avoid having to go overseas. So there's some things you can do. But anyway, I thought I'd talk about this video, talk about furniture manufacturing. It's like I said, I see all this stuff and I look at all these companies, and as I'm digging into this space of expanding my production, like it hurts my heart to no end. But unfortunately, I'm a company, I'm a manufacturer, and I'm going to have to figure out what to do in order to get to my goals, because I can continue to do what I'm doing, which is fine. I'm not hurting by any means, but I want more. I want to go to the next level. I want to do the next thing, So if you're at the video at this point, here's one of the things I'm thinking about doing, right? This is one of my potential directions I might go this year. So I've done this whole video on talking about foreign manufacturing and what American manufacturers could do and where everything's going, blah, 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 blah. One of the things I'm considering doing is I'm considering expanding the way that I sell my furniture as opposed to the products that I sell, right? And what do I mean by that, okay? So if I go to the Resplendent Crow, okay, you can go to any piece of furniture that I sell, right? You can go, let's go to these chests here, okay? I make these chests, and I sell these chests for $6,000, all right? So I can make these chests. These are made right here in St. Louis. Anybody can see that price, right? So if you go to a lot of these companies that are making their stuff overseas, they don't give you a price, and they won't give you a price because they're not selling to the general public, right? They're not selling to retail. They're selling what's called wholesale, okay? What they're doing is you can sign up with them, and you can go on their website once you're into a trade account, which means you have a business, and you can get pricing, right? So if you wanted to go to, say, Wildwood and buy something like this, they're not going to have this. I'm the only one that makes this, but you could buy something like this, right? And these would be in their product is probably going to be $1,500 to $2,000 to buy both of these, okay? And they're going to come in whatever color you want, right? Not a custom color, but they'll have colors available. You could buy these and you could have them sent to your shop, okay? You can then mark them up to whatever you want, right? And they're going to have an MSRP, right? So they're going to say, well, you bought these for $2,000. You really need to sell these for about $3,500, okay? So you can put these in your store for $3,500. You can put these in your store for $4,000, right? But the problem is that other outfits are going to sell a similar product, okay? And that's one of the things that I'm actually considering doing. I'm actually considering going in two directions, right? I can sell a product that is so high end, I'm only going to sell it to the trades, right? So right now, if you wanted to buy these, I would create something like these nightstands, but it's going to be completely different, right? And there's going to be no pricing, and it's only going to be available to people that have design firms and stores, retail locations, things like that. That's the only way that I'm going to sell them. You run into two problems, though. Problem is that design outfit has to be able to mark it up, right? So if I want to make a high-end product, I have to be able to sell these for $6,000. The design outfit then has to make their money, and then the designer on top of that has to make their money. So the design outfit's going to need to sell these things for probably $8,000 to $9,000, and then the designer's going to want to make their 20% on top of that, right? So you see how this snowballs into being very expensive, right? This is one of the reasons that a lot of these people make their stuff overseas, right? Because they need to be able to get it in here for $1,000, turn around and sell it to somebody else wholesale for $2,000, right? And it's unfortunately where we're at today. So I'm considering selling a very high-end product that has no price. It's only available to the designers, right? The design outfits, retail, stuff like that they're going to sell for 10 grand, right? 20 grand. And if you go into these places, you'll see that furniture. I'll never forget we have a place here called KDR, and I remember going and seeing some of their like small China cabinets. They were selling for like 12 grand. Like, I make these things here in St. Louis. I sell them for 8, and my quality is double what theirs is. I also high-end lacquer paint. I have so much more labor into my product than these people do, and they're selling it for double what I would sell, which is freaking crazy. So anyway, it's important that you know how to sell your products. You know where to sell your products, right? I think at this point, everyone's seen that meme where, the value is your location, right? You can sell a bottle of water for 99 cents, or you can buy a bottle of water at Walmart for 99 cents. You can go to the convenience store and buy it for $2. You can go to the airport and buy it for $5, right? It's kind of the location that you sell your product. So anyway, these are some of the things I'm thinking about. And business is hard, y'all. And that's why I make these videos. I talk about it because, again, I have a real company. Anybody can see my company. Anybody can buy my products. I'm not selling bullshit. I'm not selling the idea of being a furniture maker out of your garage. I'm not selling you some course on how to make money importing things, right? And if that's what you want to do, go for it. But I'm an actual furniture maker. I live here in St. Louis. I have a real manufacturing company with real employees, real logistics, real taxes, real insurance, real rent, real everything. It's not some pie in the sky guy making videos in his garage. It just, stuff drives me crazy. YouTube needs more people that actually own businesses that talk about manufacturing and don't bullshit people and try and sell them courses and advertising. So anyway, I hope everyone has a good day, and I hope everyone continues to watch these videos. I know they're important to people, and I enjoy making them because, again, I think this information is so important to people. So I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and we'll talk to you later.